Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and I have an amazing thought for you today, something to change and shift your paradigm about the year 2020. I've come to this huge realization that 2020 was the best year of my life, and here's why. And I'm not even going to say the best and the worst year because I don't consider it that. I did have some horrible times, like I'm sure all of you did. But when we have these horrible times and we look at them for what they are and how they have the potential to shift us, then they're not horrible anymore. They're just hard changes. And hard and change seem to always go together because as humans, we don't like change. So I made this little list that I want to share with you on why I believe that 2020 was the best year of my life so far. Number one is that I've had monthly awakenings. All these things that, we all have our life, it goes along, it's great, we've got all these habits in place, we have this friendship circle, we have all these routines that we do and all the things that we are used to doing, and all that crumbled. So monthly, throughout the whole year of 2020, I had these huge awakenings. Every one of them were painful, every one of them. And I will be honest, I have never fought more with my husband than I did this year. That's just being really true because we disagreed on some things and I was feeling angst and he didn't understand my angst because he was feeling it differently. And so the monthly awakenings and the growth that happened over this year have been such a pivotal thing that I live in deep appreciation and gratitude for this. Number two is this has really clearly shown who our tribes are. And I don't mean that in any kind of derogatory way because we all find these tribes that we resonate with. We find the people that it's not just about hanging out with people who agree with you. This is about finding people that you can move forward with and that you can bring your brilliance to the world. And those people are above the clouds for me. I have seen my tribe more clear than I have ever seen it. And what a gift. Such a gift. Number three, this is actually a huge one. Watching old, corrupt, antiquated paradigms crumble. There were so many things that were wrong that we just don't really think about. And some of that might be the time that you spend with your family. Maybe you took a lot of airplanes and you took a lot of business trips, and maybe you took trips that were for pleasure and vacation and you kind of ignored the things that needed your attention. Well, this brought us all back closer to our house. I think that it didn't just bring us back closer to our house, it kept us in our house, right? And not just that, we all of a sudden were forced to be with each other and make food for our families and maybe think about, am I prepared? Am I prepared in my finances? Am I prepared in my relationships? Do I have um, my spiritual life in check? What about my health? I mean, the health paradigm with our medical industry and the pharmaceutical industry, these things do not serve us, and are they are being exposed, in my opinion, on a high level for the very first time. More people are waking up to some of these facts. So some of these old, antiquated paradigms are crumbling and they're in the last gasp. And I think this is a huge, huge gift for mankind and our ability to move forward in health and abundance and love and consciousness. That's where we need to go to thrive as humans. I love that. So number four, living my truth. This has been something that I am a Taurus and I'm super stubborn. So there's things that are my truth that I'm not willing to give up, and I'm not willing to compromise on who I am. And this has been a huge, beautiful thing for me because I've always lived my truth, but this has kind of tightened that in, that I am not going to give in to someone else's truth um, to make them feel better. So living my truth to the highest level has been a big, big blessing of the year 2020. Number five, no judgment. Now this one has been hard for all of us, right? Because what happens? We see someone doing something that we don't agree with, or We're angry because they're doing something. And wow, this has been the most stunning year for that, where we've all had, for whatever we're doing, right or wrong in someone else's book, we've probably had people jump all over us, or maybe we've jumped all over someone else. So this has been a year where I've come to realize that one of the best things that we can do for ourselves and our fellow humans is to live in a place of non-judgment. It's not our place to judge. We don't get to judge. We get to give pure love, no matter what the situation is, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter. We are not in a place, or if we're going to live with pure unconditional love, we are not in a place to judge our fellow humans. So when you give them love, it will shift because they'll feel that energy, the energy of just you vibrating with pure unconditional love. This is something that I talk about a lot, and I have put it into practice over the years, but nothing has heightened it so much as my ability to release completely the judgment of others. It's so beautiful. Number 6, being willing to change. Whew, I actually got shivers over that one, because here's why. I am stubborn like the rest of humanity, and I know what is right, and I know what people should be doing, especially people in my family or people I'm close to. And me, myself, and I needed to do some inner reflection and some inner changing too. And I've gone down many rabbit holes with different things. I've been, like I said, a huge researcher throughout this year, and I've changed my mind on some things that I would never have dreamed that I would have changed my mind on. And for this, again, I am so grateful for the opportunity to be able to shift my mindset and to grow as a person and be willing to change. Wow, how great is that? So if I could pick one of these, that would probably be the one: be willing to change and be open. Be open to other people's thoughts and ideas. And it's not saying you have to agree with them, but this is a big, huge, beautiful shift that was a huge gift for me in the year 2020. Now, the final one that I have on here, and I probably could give a whole lot more, but the final one that I put on here was releasing relationships with love. Now, this is something that I've talked to so many people, because there's a lot of sadness and grief around the loss of really good friendships and relationships that we all know that will probably never be the same. Uh, and I've come to the conclusion that there's a season for everything and a season for everyone. And I was lucky enough to move around the world during different parts of my life, not just as a child. I mostly moved in the United States, but as an adult, I moved out of the country, and I moved to different places around the country. So I had to start all over. I had to start all over with friendships and relationships, and that can be really hard, because as humans, we like that creature comfort of our friendships that are 30 years old or 40 years old or 20 years old. Um, one of the things that got lost in 2020 was my exercise class. I started teaching exercise classes when I was 18 years old. So I almost taught for 41 years, when last year in February or in March, I walked into the gym, I taught my class. I said, I'll see y'all next week. It was brilliant, and we were sweating, and it was so much fun. There was music and dancing. I walked out not realizing that that was the end of my teaching career. And last year, throughout the whole year, I would have these moments of this deep sadness from what I lost. So what I've switched that to is a deep appreciation for what I had all those years. In fact, the last place that I taught, the last class, I taught that class for 40 years, a little bit more than 40 years. And those people were my friends. And I would see them every single Saturday. We would pack the room, and we would dance, and we would laugh, and we would hug, and we would sweat together. And it was one of the absolute joys in my life. I would arrange vacations around, okay, well, my class goes from 8 to 9. I need to let's get on a plane at 11 so that way I can teach before we go. I did that for years and years and years. And it reached a point, honestly, where my husband would say, okay, how about if we go here, and I found a good flight that leaves after your class. So this is something that I had a bit of a deep mourning for, but I now have come to realize that that had a season. And who knows, I might teach in the future, but I don't know. I don't think so. I'm just giving it love. And not just this class, but there are some friendships that have shifted. And it makes me grateful. It makes me grateful that I had them in my life when I did. And I also realized one big key. Some of the relationships and the people I was spending my time with did not serve me. And I think that we get to a place where it's like, we don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. We just go along with it because we don't know how to say no. Um, and that's a huge part of how we live our life. And we end up spending our time, which is our most precious commodity, with people that don't serve us or raise us up. So to me, releasing relationships with love has been a really huge gift for me during the year of 2020. So I hope some of these resonate with you. Um, this has been something that's been so reflective for me during the last month of 2020. Right now, if you're watching this, I'm filming this on January 3rd. And I feel nothing but hope and love and joy and a raised consciousness of humanity. We, for the first time, are really seeing so many things that needed to be changed. So I hope you have a beautiful, brilliant day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.